It's like the Chargers are living in a time loop. They have interesting talents on the roster, and expectations have been placed upon them yet again. Yet all we can either think about is how they will somehow fuck it all up despite themselves, or else SoFi will be flooded with opposing fans when they play there. Do you know I still keep calling them San Diego by accident? I'm not the only one. And it's a shame too, since they're a solidly built group at full strength. Can Justin Herbert avoid the infamous sophomore slump and prove that last year wasn't a fluke? Will Derwin James stay healthy enough to showcase his amazing talents? Is Brandon Staley as good a coach as he is hyped to be? All of these questions and more will be answered to an eager audience of football watchers. If only for their opposition. The AFC seems to be top-heavy again, but there's a ton of competition in the middle, and that's where the intrigue will come into play. The divisions seem relatively cut and dry. Buffalo wins the AFC East, Cleveland gets the AFC North, Tennessee claims the AFC South, and Kansas City locks up the AFC West. But for wildcards, there's an argument to be made for many teams. For the three I'm choosing, I'm going with Baltimore, Miami, and the Chargers. It was very tough to pick anyone who stands out in that regard. So I'm hoping for a really exciting AFC this season. I have a gut feeling another 10-win team isn't going to make the playoffs again. The star-crossed franchises have insanely bad luck and shitty ownership. It's a lot like the sewage pipe bursting at FedEx Field. There's nothing but the smell of feces wafting around these teams. Not to say anything about how they are on the football field, they'll have significant promise this season, but the gods are assholes. They demand a token sacrifice to damn both of their long-term ambitions. Washington's in the lead, so they flip a coin. Call it in the air. They say tails. It was heads. Particularly Ryan Fitzpatrick's wonderful beard. He was knocked out of the game and might be out for a bit longer. Even for the decent performance of Taylor Heineke, the defense just couldn't hold Justin Herbert and the Chargers offense back for long. The name of the game in the modern NFL is scoring points. And if you can't amass more than 16 in 60 minutes, there's a good chance you're losing. Can't really shit on either team here. It was a good match, but somebody has to lose most times. The gods chose you today, Reskins. The world is slowly returning to normal. I'm at peace. Do you know why? Because Chargers home games are being dominated by the opposing team's fan base again. Winning the fight for LA, are ya? The only thing you're winning is a small toy in a Cracker Jack box. It's a shame that Justin Herbert had to be good, since the Chargers deserve nothing of the sort. Then again, I'm not for personal vendettas. The football gods do more than enough of that against the Chargers. Herbert was off, but that happens to all quarterbacks. Where the real pain is in their curse. Whenever they get an opportunity in the red zone, they are stopped by either the Cowboys' defense or their own misfortune. Shanked field goals and interceptions are all special pieces of the puzzle, but the key is in their final offensive drive. Herbert and company charged down the field. All is well. But the refs decided that everyone came to see them instead of the players. They've been calling bad penalties against both sides all game, but this touchdown to Jared Cook? Illegal shift on LA. Voided TD. Then Herbert has to scramble away on second down, and this is considered a sack now? What the fuck is this league even becoming? Next, they'll say that the Chargers were somehow taunting in an end zone celebration. Relegated to a field goal, you know what's coming. To watch a team that can't stop Dallas's rushing game being slowly chipped away by Dak, Tony, and Zeke, cue the money shot.
For the win! Zerline's kick! Is it long enough? It is into the net for the victory!
You can take the Chargers out of San Diego, but you can't take the San Diego out of the Chargers. Certain victory ripped from their clutches by zebras and a talented cowboy. Shakespeare couldn't write a tragedy any better than this. You ever have those moments that you get so sucked in by narratives and past performances that you automatically assume that the worst is going to happen? We've seen this movie before with the Chargers. They look really good. They have a chance to go far this year. Yet they always find ways to fuck it up. LA's redheaded stepchild is an early 14-point lead, but they can't seem to keep their foot on the gas. It's not like they're not trying. They'll do everything they can to upend the class of the AFC. The Chargers will keep neck and neck with Kansas City, yet can't close the deal. For the second consecutive week, they massively fuck up a goal line situation. Another goddamn illegal shift penalty, followed by another sack, forcing a field goal. The script was becoming too damn predictable, but then the light emerges.
Rolling out, looking for options. Throws it off his back foot, and it's intercepted!
Mahomes has been getting too cocky with his throws, and it costs them big time here. Even then, the Bolts are facing a 4th and long with time winding down. They could go for the field goal, but remember who the quarterback is on the other side. They know the key. They have to be aggressive. It's the only way to beat the Chiefs. And it paid off. Incredibly bold moves to help them score another touchdown, and they win. Even after charging on the extra point, the other shoe didn't drop. Huh. That's stunning. Chiefs, I know you want to be worried about the sloppy offense and turnstile defense on display, but I'd be more concerned about Andy Reid. He had to be hospitalized after the game for feeling ill. Hopefully it's nothing, but considering the stresses of a head coaching job, please don't be the NFL's Terry Francona. So this game is under a lightning delay, even though it's in a dome that's not apparently a dome, and player safety is in danger because it's a covered stadium that's not fully covered? That's about as embarrassing as Raider fans swarming to a glorified home game against a team that shouldn't be in LA. What I hate about Justin Herbert's emergence isn't that I shit on this selection at the draft, a lot of people did. It's that the Chargers don't deserve him. Dean Spanos is a worthless fuck and he's being rewarded for his greed. Nothing against the poor bastards that support them or the Raiders fans that leave unhappy, but the team still referred to as San Diego clamped down on an upstart Vegas franchise by means of IRS appraisal. It just dogged them with paperwork when they tried to do anything, so it makes for a relatively uneventful game. The Chargers were smooth and efficient, and that's a deadly combination for opposition in this league. The unrelenting tide of Raider Nation is stemmed. For now. All that remains are the Diamond Dogs solidifying their shell base at 3-1. This team should have the roar of the crowd at their back, yet they have next to nothing. Fuck you, Spanos. Welcome to the future of NFL football, where the offense is king and defense doesn't matter. Here's the bitch that Madden 2004 was unrealistic. Thought it was too easy to throw deep balls in man coverage. That game was a soothsayer. The NFL adapted to Madden. Big 12 football is now the gold standard. Nobody's here to see defense. They're here to see big passes, long gains, touchdowns. Blow all the coverages you want. Resistance to the glorious powers of offense need not apply to this beautiful game. Los Angeles needs a spectacle, and you know what does that? Offense. You know what both of these teams have? Offense. Nobody paid money to see an NFL game where a defense made a critical stop, no offense. I appreciate the fact that the Chargers finally have balls. They throw them around with confidence. They're in LA now, they need to act the part. Every fourth down, people don't want to see punting, they want to see offense! Looks like the Browns defense did the heinous act of disrupting offense. You may see offensive pass interference on this fourth down, but they'll call it on the defense. Don't ask questions, just make offense, and then get excited for more offense. Balance! What are you, Thanos? This is either the smartest game ever played, the ballsiest game ever played, or an unorganized backyard football game. It's probably all three. The Chargers may miss extra points, but Cleveland didn't produce offense, so LA goes back down the field. The Browns defense is so dedicated to the cause that they forced the Chargers to generate offense. It's fucking genius. Even then, someone unfortunately had to lose and Baker tried to play hero ball, so Cleveland relives past drama. Yeah, you did get fucked over, but how about the other times you pissed yourselves on defense? This was your chance to be seen as legit and you failed. Tough shit, the NFL's gonna hand LA all the advantages they can. Once again, I have no fucking idea how to assess the Baltimore Ravens this season. They are a mystery box. You never know what's going to be inside of it in a given quarter. Hell, it could even be a mystery box. Against a white-hot Chargers team, it was expected to be a brutal reality check for a group dancing around raindrops. We somehow didn't see it happening to the team coming into Baltimore. The Chargers came off a statement win and somehow did the Charger thing by laying a massive egg. Do they realize that the defense they're facing has the coverage of a yardstick and is injured to hell? Last week, going for it on fourth down was a boon for the Chargers. Today showed the risk of those procedures. They just had nothing. And Baltimore is somehow 5-1, despite every fucking opportunity to self-destruct. I understand nothing anymore. Someone please take me out of my misery like Lamar does his opponents. Seems to be a lesser-known tradition of Bill Belichick that he delightfully enjoys. It's a rare delicacy, but it's one he relishes every time he can, ending the foolish hopes and dreams of the Chargers. Especially when he's in California, he'll do whatever it takes to fulfill his ambitions. On paper, especially with the talent LA has, you'd expect that the Patriots would be competitive but lose relatively easily. But we are foolishly mistaken. This game is very close. New England is keeping pace with the Chargers. And it isn't due to any trickery or gimmicks, but with traditional, well-coached football. Disciplined and steadfast, the core tenets of a Belichick outfit. They need to prove to the world they aren't dead yet. And I think I have an idea how they're gonna do it.
They're down to 9. Herbert. Intercepted! Picked off!
Deceiving your opponent into a false sense of security and then striking while their guard is down. Very Belichickian. Maybe he hasn't lost it yet. This decisive win might prove it. This is probably as close to must-win as it gets for the Chargers. It's a relatively easy opponent, yes, but have you noticed how crowded the AFC wildcard race has gotten? They can't afford to lose ground. Despite the Chargers' power, the Eagles are putting up a great fight. It's a bit of a show in Philly. Justin Herbert is balling as expected, and Jalen Hurts is keeping up in tandem. Probably literally, as it's also with his feet. It was so special that Jordan Howard went back in time and captured his 2017 vintage for this occasion. Things were quiet at first, but the second half is a gun show, dueling in the desert known as the Lake. Eventually, we're tied at 24 apiece, but LA has the ball. Welcome to what we call excellent clock management. They had 6 minutes left in the game when they got it and slowly burned it away by means of methodical offense and timely 3rd and 4th down conversions. When it was time to get into good field goal range, they did. And it was enough for a Chargers kicker to somehow not miss a glorified extra point. This is a revelation for them, you know? They miss at least one of these damn kicks a game, and they did earlier. A big win, even if it doesn't look like it. With how jam-packed the AFC West is, the Bolts needed this one. This kind of shit is why the Minnesota Vikings infuriate me. They should be so much better than what the record suggests. The Chargers are a strong football team. They have one of the brightest quarterbacks and coaching minds in the game. They're developing an identity that they've sorely lacked for years. Yet for all of that hype and hullabaloo, Minnesota went right into SoFi and took care of business. Things were neck and neck for a bit, but the Vikings somehow found the clutch mode they lost in the attic all those years ago. Kirk Cousins was strong, the offensive weapons were reliable, even the defense made crucial stops when they needed to. Great, they're up by 10, what's to stop them from choking away the game like they usually do, you say? Here's why. The defense forced LA's offense to outchoke them. I know, it's stunning considering it's Minnesota. After that, just like the Chargers against Philly last week, methodical offense that effectively killed off the clock. The best defense is making sure your opponent never gets the ball. And the Vikings did it. With how chaotic the NFC has been for the wildcard slots, their season is nowhere near over. I don't feel glad for the Vikings. I somehow feel angrier at them for squandering past opportunities to assert themselves. You won a quality game. Good. Now do it again. Nothing warms my Yinzer heart more than watching Steelers fans flood into the Chargers' home stadium and waving those terrible towels. Sadly for those poor bastards, there isn't much to cheer about in this game. The Black and Gold Brigade is without nearly all of their defensive playmakers, and they're being picked apart by LA in this glamorous terrain. The Steelers have no answers for Justin Herbert. None. The offense couldn't afford to make mistakes either, but a terrible call on a 4th and goal might have truly sealed their fate. It's an utter rout headed into the 4th quarter as Pittsburgh has a 17-point deficit. Just get it over with, Chargers. Put this team out of its misery and we can all go to bed.
That's exactly what the Steelers needed.
Perhaps someday the Chargers can figure out this thing called special teams. Maybe they can stop shooting themselves in the cock with bad penalties at the goal line. But LA is still rolling along, and absolutely no one can stop Justin Herbert on the run besides Cam Hayward a little too aggressively. Pittsburgh is still down by 14 and struggling to keep Ben upright. But thankfully on a 3rd and 5, they do get some of that glorious high-end talent by means of Deontay Johnson. The Charger defense is starting to break down, which is great, but they're still down by 1 score late. The Steelers are going to need a 10th miracle to go their way.
Look out. And that is here I come.
Oh my god, it's happening. I thought it was being hyperbolic, but in fact it was the holiest of gospels. The Pittsburgh Steelers are going to the Super Bowl. Do you see what is happening right now? The Chargers are bringing their San Diego ways to the rampant Steelers fans in attendance. I don't know how the fuck they're tied, but I'm not gonna complain. We're not the Cleveland Browns, LA. You can't go for it on 4th down at your 30 and expect to survive. The Steeler offense doesn't have to do much, but it's enough. Pittsburgh has the lead. False hope is becoming reality. Look out, NFL! Nobody's stopping these fuckers now!
Herbert fires open, making the grab. Mike Williams down the sideline. Steps his way in for the touchdown.
Are you fucking shitting me? You make that furious and unprecedented comeback only to lay an egg on defense? Fuck. I don't know how the hell that was a game. The Steelers should have lost by at least 2 scores, but the gods demanded anarchy. The Chargers nearly snagged defeat from the jaws of victory, but it doesn't matter. The Steelers are still going to the Super Bowl. This match proved it. Welcome to the NFL, where momentum is useless and absolutely nothing matters when gauging a team from week to week. Do you remember the Chargers' incredible comeback win because the Steelers forgot how to defense last week? Too bad for them that Denver's D decided to splurge on Madden Ultimate Team packs to boost the players. Justin Herbert did all he could, but when next to no one else is performing, there's little one man can do. Can Herbert somehow help the Bolts defense do anything to stop the run? They're all but laxative with how much shit they let through them. The Broncos have gone from faux contender to dog shit to even more dog shit to somehow pulling this off. As the Chargers import vast amounts of San Diego to fuck everything up, Denver slides right into the winner's circle by means of an impenetrable iron curtain. With this outcome, it turns the AFC West once again into a colossal fucking bloodbath. Somehow they helped out Kansas City by winning here. Crazy to think. I'm still having a hard time trying to describe what the hell I just watched in Cincy. This is a must-win contest for the Chargers, especially after last week. And early on, they answered the bell. They did it surprisingly brutally. Thanks to a bunch of awful turnovers and a convenient Jamar Chase bobble for a pick, LA made the Bengals eat pavement in front of the stadium. 24 consecutive times. Things were looking good for the Chargers early, but never, ever call it an easy win. That's not in this team's dictionary. They'll find ways to fuck everything up, no matter the situation. The Bungles bungled early on in this game. Now it's time for the Chargers to make themselves as equal opportunity as possible. Despite their once impressive lead, Cincinnati managed to flex their talent and score 22 consecutive points. They had a chance to tie with a 2-point conversion, but alas, that ended up failing. And thanks to previous sins by Mike Brown, the football gods are cruel assholes. Sorry, Cincy, but you aren't playing Pittsburgh this week. LA has far too much to prove, and their allegedly suspect defense clenches up like a fist. They punched the Bengals right off the field with 17 more unanswered points. It was all kinds of fucked, but the Chargers stave off another choke and win a crucial one. This game was on a cocktail of drugs. Someone order it to go to rehab. Boys, I have another scorching take hot off the presses for you all to be amazed at. The New York Giants are a big pile of diarrhea poopy fuck. I will take my likes and retweets on Twitter for this amazing discovery. Most incredibly, the G-Men are still injured to hell and back, and the Chargers are in a must-win mode due to the cutthroat nature of the AFC. What the hell do you think happened? There was ass-kicking. There was more ass-kicking. There was rubbing down New York's ass with scorching lava. Then there was even more ass-kicking. The only other thing to say, Justin Herbert can throw a football. Jesus Christ, at least give the Giants a chance to pretend they can win this one. I know the Make-A-Wish campaign tried the whole let them get pity points in garbage time, but it can only do so much. We all know what's really important. Another pivotal matchup for the Chargers against Kansas City on the hell that is Thursday Night Football. Without what the Chiefs have been doing as of late, you're gonna need everything you've got for this one. Another classic Thursday night shit show with far more on the line than a simple win on the stat sheet. Remember that the Chargers upended the Chiefs at Arrowhead due to sloppy play. A win here would vault LA right into the division lead with tiebreaker in hand. It's critical that they do, so Brandon Staley's going to go all out. That includes his play calls. The kicker needs to stay on ice for less important situations. The problem with solely trusting math is that going for it every single time isn't ideal. The inevitable will blow up in your face. I respect Staley's consistency, but when you're down to your last play before half, just take the damn points. This is one of those times where analytics ends up backfiring due to poor execution. It wasn't like the Chiefs were doing much better on that front either. The pass Mahomes threw on a 4th and 1, probably the worst I've ever seen from him. Mom, the game got drunk again! Can you get me a stomach pump so we can conclude this in a relatively quick manner? Not looking like the case with the kind of defense we're seeing in this matchup. I get the Chargers are in the lead, but look at the team they're facing. There's a reason why Staley tried to go balls out on 4th down, and it's because they can score at will, whenever they feel like it. Too bad the Charger offense can't start up again in response, and we head to overtime. Kansas City may be receiving the ball, but with how inconsistent their offense has been? Oh, wait a minute, I forgot. Travis Kelce transforms into Thor in critical situations.
Shy of Otis Taylor. Here is Kelce. Still going. Still going. Kelce. Good night. Touchdown! Chiefs win it!
Every time we give the Chargers any shot of securing something greater than their station, they find new and exciting ways to fuck it up. Not only did their over-aggressiveness cost them the game, it may have cost them the AFC West. The lesson here is simple. When you have one play left in the first half, take the goddamn points. I know their kicker would have probably missed it, but it's the thought that counts. There were talks earlier in the week about postponing this match for a few days because of COVID outbreaks on both sides. If it were up to the Chargers, perhaps they should have pushed harder to wait for Tuesday Night Football. When you watch this contest in its entirety, you see why absolutely no one respects San Diego's prodigal son. No matter what kind of talent they may have on their roster, they will somehow blow easily winnable games with alarming regularity. And it's not in the traditional ways of their brethren, but in styles that make your skin crawl. Every loss for them is an NFT. They're all unique and incredibly useless. I know the excuse will be that Corona chant hurt them, but the Texans were without almost 20 players. This should have been a blowout, but instead the defense is giving up over 30 fucking points to General Mills and his practice squad regiment. When you allow Rex Burkhead to run roughshod on your units, you don't deserve to win. Instead, you get Justin Herbert forcing one of the worst games of his career. Whatever foolish hopes the 10 LA Chargers fans had vanished faster than this pick six to seal the game. This was a win they needed, and they pissed it away like most chances they've gotten. Now they're back in the muck and it might cost them a playoff spot. In Charger land, this is Thursday.
You blow it, man.
Did anybody seriously believe that Denver had any chance of winning this game? On paper, sure, they have the defense to wreck shit, but their offense has all the chemistry of mixing an ammunition cache and a spark. Explosions. And not the good kind. Wow, everyone! The Broncos failed miserably whenever they had a chance to make an impact on the game! Is this supposed to be breaking news? Anyone who's paid the slightest attention knows that this team makes Fred Rogers look more offensive. All this confirms is a date with destiny in Week 18 for the final wildcard spot. Not San Diego wins relatively easily against what's supposed to be an opponent. We have one more contest to settle. Raiders and Chargers in a grudge match for all the marbles. The rules are simple. Win and survive. Lose and fall to an early demise. Tie, and they both make it in. Many were hoping for them both to punt the game away and need the clock out, but this is a rivalry match. If you had the chance to take out your hated foe, you're going to fucking do it, don't you know? Reinforcing narratives, the Chargers are doing a good enough job of that on their own. What's more San Diego than muffed punts and backbreaking penalties to keep the Raiders in the damn contest? Yes, I said San Diego, that's where they should still be. And it's why their old curse is continuing to haunt them in mysterious ways. I get this pass interference is on an uncatchable ball, but it was blatant PI. Rough ball aside, how in God's name do you explain some of the brain-dead decisions made by Brandon Staley? Going for it on a 4th and 1 at your own 20? Down by 3 with one of the most conservative play calls known to man? You're lucky the Raiders only got 3 points out of it, but Staley's almost dogmatic with analytics. And you can't do that. Vegas will continue to move further and further away from the Chargers because they're masters at autoerotic asphyxiation. Real talk, boys, get help for that shit. One slip up and you're pushing daisies with that kind of fetish. I don't get it either, but the Raiders are now up by 15 and time is running short. Fortunately for LA, they have some high-end talent of their own.
Here I come to save the day.
Justin Herbert, the savior of LA's assured self-destruction. This game has gone from intense to absurd to fucking scripted. The Chargers are converting 3rd and 4th downs at will. Even the ones that should be fucking impossible. Such as a 4th and goddamn 21 at the Raider 23 for a touchdown. Wait for it, let me guess the next move. They stop the Raiders on a drive and get the chance to have the ball back to tie. I'm dead serious. If it's revealed that this entire season was engineered by the NFL to maximize fan interest and boost ratings, I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest. This entire year feels like the most outrageous goddamn movie come to life, with the miraculous comebacks and everything. Right on cue, Justin Herbert has a chance to tie the game with a touchdown.
Herbert. Holy shit. Caught in the end zone by the big body Mike Williams.
Are you exhausted enough to not last through another overtime? The NFL doesn't give a shit. We're going to get more goddamn torture and you'll love it. The Raiders get the ball first and push down the field, but fail, which means a field goal for Daniel Carlson, giving a nice peck on the cheek to the goalpost for good measure. LA returns the favor with another clutch 4th down conversion, because the scriptwriters haven't given this game enough fucking twists. However, they are stopped and forced to kick a field goal to tie again. Now the Raiders get a chance to hold serve, and have a chance to simply run the clock out to tie so they both make it in. It feels like they're doing so with safe runs up the gut with Josh Jacobs. Yet, for some inane reason, Brandon Staley calls a timeout. The Raiders know the golden rule. Never interrupt your enemy when he is making a mistake. And Staley is making a massive one. His reasoning is that he wanted to change up his formation and stop the most obvious running play in the world. What he didn't account for are two things. First is that Vegas would change up their formation and running play, thus exposing the Chargers' god-awful run defense. Secondly, both Derek Carr and Rich Bisaccia hinted that they were content with running the clock out. The timeout changed their plans. If Staley had done nothing, there was a chance this would have ended in a tie. He played himself by overthinking the situation. Again. This kind of horrible coaching job is honestly fireable. They shouldn't do it since he's in his first year, but his fuck-ups have assured the Chargers' destruction. Much to the joy of the Pittsburghers about to die at the sight of this shit.
Snap good, hold good, and Raiders in, Chargers out, Steelers in.
I'm honestly speechless. A team that was looking like an outright Super Bowl contender at the beginning of the year sabotaged themselves to lose to the fucking Raiders. Worst of all, they can blame no one but themselves. As I've said before, you can take the Chargers out of San Diego, but you can't take the San Diego out of the Chargers. 2021 will be remembered as another one of those horrifying years in their history. When we're old and gray, we'll look back on this team and think, how the fuck did they miss the playoffs?
그럼 그냥 가. Los Angeles Chargers eliminated.
Fuck you, Spano. This has been a season. So many twists and turns that it's hard to conceive with the naked eye. If you were looking at this year seriously, it was absolutely exhausting. But do you know the true bounty to cherish? The memes. It was fucking gold for this economy. Thanks to incredible collapses, fantastic comebacks, Urban Meyer's coaching tenure, and whatever the fuck Antonio Brown did in the Jets game. Keep wondering when the Chargers are going to manage to do something. They stumble into another great quarterback talent in the draft, an offense filled with dreams and an overhauling of the offensive line to help him out. That should be more than enough to get you into the playoffs. Hell, there were many considering them as a goddamn Super Bowl contender at the beginning of the year. The flash and pizzazz distracted us from the glaring flaws of the team itself. They have no defense. It's non-existent. Their run defense was abhorrent, giving up 100-yard rushing games on the ground in 12 of 17 tries. The pass coverage suffered as a result, and it was usually at the worst possible times. It was better than their ground counterpart, but that's like saying Mussolini was kinder than Hitler. Therefore, the offense was forced to go balls out to compensate for the stone trying to drag them into the abyss. It didn't work most times. Brandon Staley is an acolyte of analytics, and he was one of the more aggressive play callers we've seen in NFL history. Sometimes it worked, others he was decapitated by it. He overthought a lot of things, and he'll have to hone it to have any success long term. It was emphasized by calling a timeout in overtime against the Raiders. Even if Las Vegas said what they said for gamesmanship, it allowed their opponent to regroup and, shocker, expose their god-awful run defense. Season over. More incredible pain for the bastard child no one wants. Did I mention that Big Brother and the Rams won a ring? They'll be rubbing that in every chance they get as part of your rent payment. Wanna try and stop it? How about you beat the fucking Texans in the gimme match?